Good afternoon and a very warm welcome. You're with Headlines today. The big story coming in from the Supreme Court right now. The court shut down BCCI's proposal for a probe panel. For more on that, it's over to my colleague, Shivani Gupta.
Thanks a lot, Ruchika. That's right. Big news coming in from the Supreme Court and a big blow to the BCCI. The Apex Court has rejected, first of all, the 3-member panel that the board had recommended to probe charges against the 13 named by the Mudgal Panel in the IPL fixing scam. Instead, it has now asked the Mudgal Panel itself if it will head an SIT to probe the team if they are given investigators and are given the powers to investigate this matter further. The Mudgal Panel is now going to reply by 2 p.m. to the Supreme Court. The court also rejected the petitioners, the CAB's request that the probe be handed over to the CBI or the police in this matter. It said in the court today that it does not have enough confidence to hand over this probe to the CBI or the police. Boria Majumdar, consulting editor, Shishir Hatangri, former Mumbai captain, Nikhil Chopra, former Indian cricketer, and my colleague Atit Sharma is joining us on the show. Let me first go across to Atit and get a quick update from the Supreme Court itself. Atit, what is the latest that you can give us? Any more developments or any more reactions that you have been able to get from both sides?
Well, Shivani, as of now, they are not speaking right now, but obviously they'll be going into a huddle. I think what Supreme Court has said has to be taken into this manner, that probably they want to keep the whatever investigations, investigations were done by the Mudgal committee, they want to keep it as much secretive as possible, and they do not want to go into many people's hands. And probably that is the reason that they've asked Gopal Subramaniam that why didn't you investigate this case further? And to which he replied that because they thought that they'll be going outside the mandate that they were given, and secondly they did not have the investigative powers. So that is what the court said, that if we give you the investigative powers, will you investigate it further?
About what the court said about giving the panel the powers. How did it intend to do it? Can you tell us more about that?
The people who have been investigating this and who've submitted this report, the Mudgal committee, should go further, one step ahead, and if they are given
all right, we'll try and connect to Atit. I don't think he can hear me right now. But let me bring in Boria Majumdar here. Boria, very, very interesting developments from the court today. We felt that maybe they will reject this panel and look the CBI's way or a police agency's way. But what the Supreme Court has done perhaps was not expected by anybody, asking the Mudgal panel itself to go ahead and try and investigate it, given investigative powers. How do you see this playing out? And you know Justice Mudgal well. How would they react to such an responsibility on them?
You know, two questions you've asked and both very pertinent. I'm actually not very surprised. I mean, I have written a column today in the papers saying that in all probability the Supreme Court will perhaps go back to the Mudgal panel. If it has to go back to a panel, it should go back to the Mudgal panel, because that's a logicality, because it's ultimately a Supreme Court's own panel. So I'm not very surprised. And the second question was Justice Mudgal. A source is very close to Justice Mudgal and the panel tell me that they will accept it. By 2 o'clock they will accept it. Shivani, it's a huge development for Indian cricket. It's a huge development for the board. You started your bulletin saying the BCCI's probe panel stands rejected. I just want to make 2 points here before you go to your other guests. One, Justice Mudgal's name was turned down by the BCCI working committee without even putting his name to vote. Second, L. Nageshwar Rao's name was proposed by Shashank Manohar and Jagmohan Dalmia. That name was also turned down by the BCCI working committee without putting it to vote. Now, the Supreme Court reposes faith in these two men, Mukul Mudgal and L. Nageshwar Rao. So the BCCI itself will now have to go into a huddle, because it's a massive, massive blow for the board. And it's a right decision, because they've already done half the work. They know the process. They've done 120 days of thorough investigation. So why look beyond? And now they've been invested with investigative powers. In fact, from what I understand is they've also been told you can take the help of any agency of your choice. So that gives them incredible amount of powers to investigate this case.
Absolutely. That's the very the crucial point here, because yes, everybody had raised the issue of just how much powers any panel would have to investigate this matter further. That was the argument for a CBI probe or a police agency probe. But in this case, the Supreme Court has said categorically that the Mudgal panel, if it accepts the responsibility, will be given investigative powers. Senior journalist Pradeep Magazine is also joining us on the show. Pradeep, your views on this? Mudgal panel being asked to investigate this matter further. Of course, as Bori has mentioned, they've already done a part of the legwork, and they just want them to go ahead and complete the investigation now.
Well, I have the same views as Boria has on this. In fact, even I have been saying and writing the same things, that if you want to have, why have another probe panel? Yeah. Here is a probe panel which has already done all this work, and just invest them with greater powers so that they go ahead and do it. And that's what exactly Supreme Court has done. I think the Indian board at the moment must be really because I think till yesterday they're not so far realized that in trying to save one man, they are destroying their own board. And what has happened today is that now everything has been taken away from their hands, and a probe will be done by a panel which is already privy to so many things, which has already arrived at a lot of maybe not conclusions, but they feel there is something more serious and more dangerous happening. Now they will be given investigating authority as well, and let's hope that they clear the doubts which people have in their minds.
Right. Nikhil, you wanted to come in here?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, Shivani, the Apex Court said today, rather than getting another probe panel in, they're worried about those 13 names in that sealed envelope as well. You don't want that envelope to get into another couple of hands, and then, people's reputations get tarnished. And I think the most important thing, even the Mudgal committee at that moment in time, when they initially, submitted their report to the Apex Court, said that this needed to be further investigated by a government agency. But now the good thing is the court has also given this committee, the powers to take help from any investigative agency. So hopefully this panel will be able to get to the bottom of this entire spot fixing. Were there malpractices in the IPL season 6, and who are the people involved? You want to clear all sort of doubts. I think this is the best opportunity.
Yes. Remember, this panel had already clarified some doubts vis-a-vis Gurunath Mayappan, that he was indeed the team principal and he was indulging in betting along with Bindu Dara Singh. And as far as other issues were concerned, let's say Raj Kundra's role in it, and if there was match fixing in the IPL season 6, that was not established and that needed further investigation. Former IPL Commissioner Lalit Modi is now joining us over the phone line. Lalit, the Supreme Court asking the Mudgal panel if it is willing to go on and now investigate this matter further as they had wanted, with the help of investigative agencies. Your first reactions to that?
I think this is a great day for cricket. The Supreme Court has finally taken the right step of trying to restore some sort of investigation that will be totally unbiased. I think the BCCI has really fallen to a new low by not coming time after time with a fair panel. I think the courts have done the right direction, given the right direction. They have given the directions also, I'm told, that Srinivasan cannot, as an office bearer of the BCCI, attend the ICC meetings, as he's been already asked to be a step aside on the BCCI. So there is no reason he will continue to be in ICC. So it's a good day. I think the Mudgal committee is the right committee, and if they have the powers and to engage with any other agency, I think they will do the right job without a doubt.
Also, Lalit, the BCCI proposed panel was outrightly rejected by the Supreme Court. Don't you think that the BCCI has further tarnished its image and the image of the so-called efforts it's making to clean up the mess right now?
I think BCCI is making no effort to clean up its image. The BCCI members are right now trying to fight the system. They have made no steps to clean up the system. I think they're all guilty by association, and I don't mince my words, I say it very clearly. They're all guilty by association to allow people who are involved in the business of fixing or allowing fixing to go. When we say zero tolerance, it means zero tolerance. If there should be nothing to hide. If the people sitting in the chair have nothing to hide, there should be no reason for any investigation agency to investigate them, and it should be done right away. I mean, they threw out the name of Justice Mudgal. I was completely shocked the other day and proposed a whole set of cronies to go out there and investigate this. It was a sham to the whole world, and finally the Supreme Court has put a stop to this.
And you have complete faith that now if the Mudgal panel accepts, and our sources or the feelers we are getting is that the Mudgal panel will accept this responsibility, then we can get to the bottom of this entire mess, including, deciding on what role the 13 people named in that sealed envelope had to play.
I think we will get a good response, because the panel has already done months and months and months of work. They already have a large amount of data. The two gentlemen, Nageshwar Rao and Justice Mudgal, have been very, very much part of the whole system and in doing this. I'm surprised that Niloy Datta, the third member, actually has become a member back at the BCCI. So he actually just resigned from the BCCI to get onto the commission as a proxy of Mr. N. Srinivasan, it seems. And immediately after the report was submitted, he's back on the IPL panel. So I would be a little hesitant to endorse him coming back into the panel, because he was there as a stooge, and I say I mince no words about it. We need a clean investigation, and I think Justice Mudgal is the right person to lead the clean investigation.
So what are you suggesting, Lalit, that you would not want Niloy Datta to come back into the panel, and there should be an objection raised to it, since he's part of the...
He joined the BCCI as IPL Governing Council as of last week, as we saw in the announcement of Mr. Sunil Gavaskar that he has taken him back in the panel. So I don't see any reason that Mr. Niloy Datta is already out. So I'm sure that Justice Mudgal will find an appropriate person to fulfill his spot.
Actually, Lalit, stay on the line with us. Let me take that question to Boria as well, who's been in touch with sources close to Justice Mudgal. Boria, this is a very interesting question, because Niloy Datta was a representative and is now currently a representative of the BCCI. What do you think will happen? Will Justice Mudgal say that no, there is a conflict here, and either he has to give up his position again and then come back?
I don't know what Justice Mudgal will say, but I can definitely say that the point that Lalit is raising is a very, very valid one. I mean, just last week, Sunil Gavaskar made that announcement, and Niloy Datta is back in the IPL panel. Now, somebody who's back in the IPL panel within days after submission of the Mudgal report, does the country have faith in that person to investigate? We already know there were two separate reports. We already know that Niloy Datta did not keep Justice Mudgal and Nageshwar Rao informed that he was about to submit a separate report. Whether he's been a vice president of the Assam Cricket Association. Now, does that sort of make him less credible? Whether or not Justice Mudgal and L. Nageshwar Rao will raise objections to it, I don't know. But these are very valid questions which might well come up before the Supreme Court. So, yes, the point that Lalit is making, Shivani, has a lot of sense.
All right. Let me take a final comment from Lalit Modi before, Lalit, we let you go. What we have seen so far within the BCCI, and as Pradeep Magazine here has been saying this, the board has been continuously trying to save one man. And in that, they have further tarnished the board's reputation and actually not cared about where the game is going. And now finally, our only savior seems to be the Supreme Court. A very favorable order has come from the Supreme Court. Are you hopeful the entire matter will go to its logical conclusion, despite the fact that within the BCCI, N. Srinivasan still seems to rule the roost?
I think it will go to the logical conclusion. I have been battling this for the last so many years, and I'm on top of this. I've been pushing everybody, calling all my friends to ensure that they keep pushing the right people in there. And the whole objective is to get the right people there. And I think the Supreme Court is the only body in the country that has the power, that can clean up the mess, and they have taken the right decision. Mind you, they did give the BCCI many chances, but BCCI never got their house in order because they were never interested in resolving the issue. They were always interested in sweeping it under the carpet and letting the things carry on. And this has got to come to an end, and we have to weed out all the people involved in nefarious activities, and once and for all. And it has to be taken at a very, very serious level. And I think that Justice Mudgal will do a tremendous job in doing so. And I hope he takes the right people who have the right powers. I think the Supreme Court will give him the right powers to do so, and summon each and every one and take it to its logical conclusion.
All right. Lalit Modi there, the former IPL commissioner. Thanks a lot for joining us. Let's go across to my colleague Atit Sharma now, who has the petitioner Aditya Verma with him. Atit, over to you. What does the petitioners in this case have to say? Because their request of a CBI inquiry was put down as well.
Absolutely, Shivani. Aditya Verma is joining us, especially on Headlines today. Aditya ji, थोड़े डिसअपॉइंटेड थे आप कि एनआईए की आपने जो जांच की आदेश दिए थे, पुलिस की इंक्वायरी, सीबीआई इंक्वायरी, वो नहीं उन्होंने मानी कोर्ट ने, लेकिन खुश हैं कि ये जो अभी मुदगल कमीशन के पाले में जो दोबारा गेंद गई है, आप चाहते हैं कि वो इन्वेस्टिगेट फर्दर करें इसको?
हाँ, लेकिन आप एक बात ये भी है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट इस बार कमीशन को कुछ एक्स्ट्रा पावर भी देने जा रहा है कि क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर चाहे जो दफा हो वो पावर देगा, मॉनिटर बाई सुप्रीम कोर्ट। मुझे मुदगल कमीशन पे कभी आपत्ति था भी नहीं, लेकिन जब मुदगल कमीशन की बंद 13 नाम के लिए जब बात आगे बढ़ी थी तो उस पर बगैर सीबीआई इन्वेस्टिगेशन, एनआईए इन्वेस्टिगेशन के आगे कैसे आप किसी के ऊपर एफआईआर कर सकते थे, ये कर सकते थे। लेकिन अगर 2 बजे मुदगल कमीशन तैयार हो जाता है एक्स्ट्रा पावर के साथ तो हमें कोई एतराज नहीं है।
कोर्ट ने अभी रिजेक्ट नहीं किया है जो बीसीसीआई ने नाम सजेस्ट करते वो पैनल ऑन रिकॉर्ड, लेकिन आपको पूरी उम्मीद है कि मुदगल कमेटी ये मान जाएगी कुछ जिस तरह से हम भी कह रहे हैं, क्योंकि जिस तरह से उनको अगर ये पास दे दी जाती हैं तो शायद सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स उनके पास है, इतनी लंबी उन्होंने जांच करी है तो शायद वही सही जांच कर सकते हैं इसको।
देखिए, नहीं मानने का क्या सवाल होता है जब देश का सर्वोच्च न्यायालय अगर कोई सम्मान देता है और जिस व्यक्ति को ये कमीशन का हेड बनाया जा रहा है, जिनकी अपनी एक जुडिशियरी फील्ड में पहचान है, जस्टिस मुकुल मुदगल साहब का, तो नहीं मानने का। और सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि वो खुद क्रिकेट प्रेमी भी हैं।
ऑडियो टेप्स के बारे में भी काफी बात अंदर हुई है, उसके बारे में बताइए, क्योंकि वो बात अभी तक ज्यादातर सामने नहीं आई, अंदर क्या हुआ?
देखिए, बीइंग ए पिटिशनर हम तो यही कहेंगे कि आज बीसीसीआई और श्रीनिवासन एक बार फिर कोर्ट के सामने घुटने टेका, लेकिन फंस भी गया। अब कोर्ट ने क्लियर उनको कहा कि ऑडियो वर्सन आप सुनिएगा, लेकिन अगर ये लीक हुआ तो आपके ऊपर हम कंटेम्प्ट चलाएंगे। तो इसके लिए उन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सेक्रेटरी जनरल को कहा है कि उनके उपस्थिति में वो ऑडियो सुनेंगे और सुन के कोर्ट को अपना सबमिशन देंगे, तब अगले मंगल को कोर्ट इस पे कोई अहम फैसला ले सकता है।
So Shivani, clearly all is not over here and things will move forward at 2 p.m. and also next Tuesday, as Mr. Aditya Verma had just said.
Thanks a lot, Atit. Stay with us. All is never over, and sometimes they say that the adage that suits the BCCI the most is the more things change, the more they remain the same. But it seems that in this case, finally, the Supreme Court is making sure that it's not just all the same anymore. Let me go across to Shishir Hatangri now. Shishir, the BCCI once again embarrassed, at least, and that's a mild word to say. All right, let me go across to Boria Majumdar first. He wants to come in. Boria, go ahead.
You know, Shivani, there's a bit of a breaking news which is even more fascinating. In the court, what I understand is when this Justice Mudgal committee point was made, the BCCI's lawyers stood up and said, but at least N. Srinivasan can go to the ICC. At which the petitioner's lawyer, Nalini Chidambaram, said, and I quote, that this is like suggesting that a judge cannot be a high court judge but can be a Supreme Court judge. And that there was massive laughter in the court, at which Justice Patnaik asked Aryama Sundaram, who are you representing? Are you representing the BCCI or are you representing N. Srinivasan? So that point has also been now tabled, whether or not Srinivasan can come to the ICC or not, and the court will deliberate on that.
Absolutely. This issue has been raised continuously, and the court will deliberate further on it. And, you know, Sundaram has been asked this question repeatedly as well. Just who is he representing, Shishir? N. Srinivasan or the BCCI? And it seems this whole act of saving one man is only getting BCCI further in the trouble. They were embarrassed in the court today with its probe panel all but rejected.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing from two aspects. One is you find that, you know, this is a big lack of trust, if I may call it that, from the Supreme Court on the BCCI, that they've rejected whatever they had you know, put forward to them in terms of independent probe panel, which really gives out a very subtle message that, look, not subtle, actually clear message that we don't trust you. That itself is embarrassing, and, you know, it's a matter of shame. Two, now that the Mudgal Commission has been approached to look into this matter further, it's obvious that the terms of reference that was the key in the last inquiry will have changed now. You know, the terms of reference would be to take everything to its logical conclusion and not to give suggestions as it was suggested in the past. So they can now approach any private body, any investigating agency to take it to the logical conclusion, and that means now that, you know, actually the BCCI is on the back foot. Whoever suggested these names should have had more wisdom to say that the Supreme Court will reject them straight away. The fact that, you know, they've done this, it shows lack of prudency, and of course, you know, probably a false belief that the Supreme Court will take this for granted, and it hasn't happened that way.
Yes, maybe the BCCI has got too used to having its way, but it's not working in front of the Supreme Court. I thank all our guests for joining us right now. 2 p.m. is when the Mudgal Commission will reply to Supreme Court, and we'll keep getting you the latest. Our experts will stay with us.